one, I kind of got cut off because someone called, and I'm sure it'll happen again. But so I talked about a few days ago, or at the beginning of the week, a challenge if anyone wanted to join in, and it was basically a challenge of just being consistent. For in our case, it was to make 10 plus calls a day. And what had ended up happening is Monday we did well, and then Tuesday, Wednesday there was no calls made just because I was home, like at my house, whereas my wife was still down at the shore house, and no calls were made. However, she made up for it with like a vengeance. So she did Thursday. She I don't even know calls at this point between Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then she did some as well today. But so far, I think we have four people that are interested. There's two or three that are meeting up with me this week. And but I know as far as amount of calls, like over, it's got to be over 200, something like that. And along with that, we sent out emails, and then we did what do you call this? Well, letters. So they just went in the mail like a few days ago. So we'll hopefully get a few calls from that. But there was only about 200, so more than likely, I might only get like a call or two out of it. But that's fine. Um, what we found is the one she was actually able to. So a few things. One is she was actually able to get a hold of more people over the course of the weekend, just because owners are busy during the week. So there's one thing. The other thing is she was getting a better quality lead from Facebook this time around. So believe it or not. So normally I don't do with Facebook, but it seems to be working out pretty well. Found out there's just a ton of people that aren't on Google that well, should be, but they're not. So that's where we are. So the goal is just to keep on doing this over and over again. We're rolling out the new process for my fence company this week. So I've been typing up the letter, retyping it, things like that. The one thing that people don't use, that I use quite a bit just because of the world I'm from, is email marketing, right? So, email marketing allows you to write this one letter and communicate it to hundreds of people. Sorry, I'm just looking at this property. I don't know if it's anything decent. I just saw it for sale online, so I wanted to kind of check it out and see what's up with it. It's not the biggest. I need bigger. So that's a little disappointing. But anyway, um, we at the end of the day, it's just we have to be. Oh, I never knew there was a tattoo place back here. Never. That's weird. Um, so anyway, um, it's coming. Oh, so going back to the. I was wondering how to get back there. I've lived here for like 20 years and I've never known about any of this kind of stuff, but that's pretty cool. Anyway, so email marketing. You write the letter once and then you can send it to 10, 20, 100,000 people, right? Not that everyone gets it because most of the time they do go in the promotion tab, but that it is what it is. But you can set up automation. So I used to use Active Campaign. You can use. I switched over because it was really expensive. I switched over to Send in Blue, and basically you can set up like automations and stuff, right? So the way I have it set up right now is I was sending these one-off emails, but then I saved them as templates. So what I can do now is when people, no shit, sorry, this is kind of like, wait, is this the friendlies? I never knew. Anyway, um, so sent these emails, but I saved them as templates. So now you can set up automation. So every time you add someone to a list, right, you can set up a series of emails. So like, someone signs up for a contact form or you talk to them, so you add them to this list, right? So then what you can do is set up like a time delay. So as soon as they get added to the list, 24 hours later, this next email gets sent out, right? And then a day, 2 days, 3 days, a week, whatever you decide to do, another email gets sent out. And then same thing, you wait a few days, week. another one, right? So what ends up happening is your marketing and everything else goes on autopilot, and it's pretty damn helpful. So I already did it with my fence company. So, like with Deptford Fence. So, what we end up doing is whenever they use this, my salesman tool, which is an online price tool, which finally mine is ready to be launched to other companies. Actually, there's like literally two more small tweaks, and then we can start having other people use it. They would get added to the list and then they would just remarket and remarket and remarket. So it's constantly having those conversations with people without you physically having to talk to them, right? Or even remembering anything about it. So, which is pretty cool. And because what they say, I don't know how true it is. I think it needs to be at least, on average, that's at least 7 touch points before they end up buying from you, right? So a touch point could be a call, an email, a website visit, whatever, right? And you can set up these emails. It's not like, hey, just buy from me. You can like set up value and you can use your website to sell for you. Like you can like, hey, here's a blog article, like as a fence company, and be like, I don't know, the 3 things that most homeowners have no idea about that they need to know before they buy a fence, like something like that. Or you could do like spotlight. So if you have a like a great project that you just did or something like that, like you like kind of like a showcase, like you could send that out. Links, like send links to like YouTube and Instagram, Facebook, like all that kind of stuff. So it helps, like really helps. And it's just a way to kind of automate everything. And at the end of the day, like what we found and what I've read online is it's not supposed to be like, hey, buy this, hey, buy this, hey, buy this. It's like, um, this term was coined by Gary Vaynerchuk. So if you don't know who he is, like check him out on YouTube. Um, really talks about content marketing and everything else. But he's on a whole nother level. Like they get to the point where like you have literally following someone around, like following you around all day and just videotaping and then basically taking that footage and then basically um, using it for marketing. But anyway, he has a book. I didn't even read it yet. I guess I really should. But the premise is, well, it's called Jab, 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 Right Hook, right? And so it's basically like give, 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 not take, but give, 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 ask. So like the what they found is like typically 3 value driven emails, and then from there you're doing a like an ask. So it could be like if you're trying to sell something, right? So it could be the top 3 things you need to know before getting a fence, what you need to know about vinyl fences, what you need to know about this, and hey, or if you're looking to move forward, we have 3 spots for the end of the week. Give us a call and we can get you scheduled, like something like that. So anyway, that's the results for the week. I did not expect it to go. I didn't know what to expect, to be honest with you. I know, like, at some point, like, this thing's going to be successful, but like, I feel like everything that we've done over the past few years with the systems we have in place and the customer service and the software and everything else that we have in line. I just feel like we've been preparing for this moment for like 2 years now. And like I had my supplier come out, the new ones, and he's like, yeah, like he's like, oh, this is a great space. I had no idea. And I'm like, yeah, but, and he's like, yeah, it's just baby steps. I'm like, no. I said, I've been doing this shit for like 4 years now, like with the warehouse space and everything else. I said, I've been preparing for this. I'm like, I'm ready to run. So I have to have a conversation with that because I was running some numbers in my head last night. And I'm like, well, if this works the way it works, like we're going to realistically go from like right now, we're looking for a truckload every 2 weeks, which is only like 400 sections, which is not that much. But I started running numbers and I'm like, shit, if this works the way I think it will, I think realistically we can get to 2 trucks a week. Right. So we're basically 4xing the amount of volume. So I'm going to have to talk to them and be like, yo, can you like set some trucks aside because I feel like we're gonna need them, right? I'm not in a position to spend a couple $100,000 on these trucks without having customers, but I feel like um, I'll find out once I send out this email. But I feel like, and then we're also going to be following up with these people as well. But I feel like it's going to be ridiculous. I just do. So I ran the numbers. We only closed at 7%. I ran the numbers based off of 30% closing, but that's between us, the other companies, and the material only price, right? So even with that, if we get only 10 leads a day, that's three. That's three orders a day. That's 15 a week. The average, just say, being 20. That's a truckload right there. But then that doesn't even include one, I could literally open up the advertising to, like, I already thought of a few ideas last night because, like, I smoked weed. Yeah, I smoked weed last night. And like the ideas just start pouring out. And then my wife was watching a show, The Sandman. I didn't really like it, but she did. So my whole, like, I spent about an hour and a half, like, kind of watching the show, but like literally running through a million different scenarios in my head. And I'm like, this just makes perfect sense. So realistically, we could drastically increase that volume, I think, from what it looks like. And so anyway, that's where we're kind of at. So anyway, stick to consistency. We're just going to keep on doing the same thing, constantly calling, emailing these people. Next, like I said, we're doing the whole depth fence thing, and then going after these customers from a completely different angle than I think anyone has ever done. And I think it's going to work really, really well. So anyway, that's all I got. So hope you. Oh, thanks. I did get your email last night, so I will be doing that tomorrow at some point. So thanks for sending it over. I'm pretty excited to see what you have going on in there, and then what tweaks you can kind of make. So, but yeah, that's really about it at this point. So, consistency. I think, if you do this challenge where you spend a week or realistically a month, if you every single day call 5 to 10 types of companies that can refer your business, it will be huge. It's something I never focused on, and I'm seeing it from the one guy we partnered up with. His whole business is word of mouth and everything else. Yep, no problem. It's word of mouth, working with other contractors and builders and stuff like that. He does a lot of business, and like I've built up the whole online side of things where he's done the, more of building up the relationship side of things. And like I'm probably leaving out half my business. Like it's crazy. So literally calling 5 to 10 people a day, whatever line of business. So Divine Fence, with you being in this, it's realtors, animal shelters, other builders, stuff like that. Reaching out to 5 to 10 a day, having those conversations. And, if you do that for a month, I guarantee, you're having me look at your business from the Google My Business, stuff like that, which is important. I'm not saying it's not. But I feel like I'm missing out on half my business because of that. That being said, I don't even know if I want the other half of the business because we do use subs. And for the most part, it goes pretty well. But I think we found a better opportunity. Not saying that we're going to completely kill off this fence company, but you do have to look at the different opportunities that are within your market and seeing how you can capitalize on it. The other thing I was talking to my buddy. This got to be real quick because I got to jump in, but I just thought of this. So I was talking to my buddy down in Florida. He's an online marketer that happens to own a fence company. He had some ridiculous ideas, and it's basically I've always been trying to figure out, like, how do we get away from the conversation of, like, the customer calls up and they're like, all right, well, you sell fences, they sell fences, you're 10 grand, they're 8 grand. I'm just going to go with them, right? And we're trying to use the sales, we use sales training and everything else, and tried improving the sales process and the follow-up process and just the sales conversation and everything else. And we did. Like, we're up like 25% in profit this year with all the issues that were, with the inflation, gas prices, everything else, no free money. And so we're doing well. But it's still the same conversation. If we don't get them to basically commit to us right away and then go to someone else, well, what ends up happening is we give them 10 grand, they go to other companies, it's 8 grand. And I really do feel like if you're doing decking, it's an easy conversation. Like, do you really, and like, because you can really go after the reviews and everything else, right? And it's like, do you really want some random guy? Because that's what we're dealing with as fence companies, like some random guy, and if you're this newer company that's starting and you're just a guy in a pickup truck and you're pricing it way less, I understand. But at some point, what's happening is it's driving down the entire market. So then you can't ever get to, because everyone's pricing all the way down here, you can't get to this level where I'm trying to be, where I don't want to dig holes every day. I don't want to answer the phones. Like, I don't want to answer the emails. I just want to like reap the rewards from the business. Like, that's the whole point of a business. At some point, like, you should be able to like take weeks off at a time and still make money. The problem is it costs a lot of money to do that. And what happens is, because all these cheap ass people, you don't like, it's like you can't ever get to that certain level. Like, if we could all team up, which you can't, because then it's like the monopoly and everything else. But like, if you everyone team up and be like, yo, like, you can't set your prices below this, it would make everyone's lives easier. But because you have these people that will do it for like $2 a foot, like, you can't charge what you really want to charge. And if you can, or if you try to, what happens is you're going to cycle through a lot of leads like we do. Like, we could charge $1,000 less and make like $1,500 on the job that we're there for 2 days, like everyone else does. But I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to make $750 a day. It's not even worth it. By the time I pay all my employees and everything else, like, I'm making no money. I'd have to run like 5 crews, and that's just a nightmare, right? So, and for some people, it may not be. But so, what this guy did, going back to this, is he started thinking of different ideas that would get you away from that conversation. So he asked me not to say anything about it at this point, so I won't. But there's a ton of different ways to figure, to basically separate yourself, right? And a book he was trying to recommend to me, which I recommended to him a few months prior, but he just doesn't listen to me some of the times. So it's called $100 Million Offers. It's by Alex Hormozy. I talk about him quite a bit on this channel, and for good reason. The dude is smart, right? And he's an online marketer that used to own gyms, and now he taught people how to run the gyms and everything else. Like, the dude makes like $25 million a year, if not more, right? So not dumb in any, and he's like under 30. But anyway, his $100 Million Offers book is for this reason, right? Because if we're having the same conversation, like, you have a fence, they have a fence, they're 8, you're 10, like, I'm just going with them. We have to get away from those apples to apples comparisons, and instead of offering services, we're giving them an offer instead, right? So it's a good book to get into. It's not for the like, a typical contractor is not going to relate to this on a few different levels. But if you're trying to figure out how to get away from the comparison game, this will allow you to get away from that. One thing that he talked about is, like, we talk about we honor a labor warranty, right? So we say that. What like, that doesn't sound great whatsoever. So, like, some of the things he talked about is, like, you should have multiple guarantees, right? And this is the guy down in Florida, not in Alex Hormozy. But actually, Alex Hormozy talks about this. So he talks about the guarantees, but he talks about forget the terminology use it, but basically make it in a sexier version, like a better sounding version, right? So, like, one of the examples he gave us was the easy close gate guarantee, something like that. And he basically said, like, show someone struggling to open up like an old wooden fence, and they're pissed off and like kicking shit, like that kind of thing. And whereas, like, you just show like this nice new vinyl fence and it just closes easy, and like, basically, if anything ever happens where you end up turning to be like the other dude, like, just let us know, we'll come right out, right? So we have that warranty. We have the like the laser straight fence warranty. So if anything, if anything sags or whatever else, we fix that. So there's that warranty. Another warranty. I don't know, the cap warranty. I don't know. Like, there's all different warranties, and you kind of bundle all this shit together. Like, if you start looking at the stuff, it makes more and more sense. It's which for me, it makes a lot of sense because I grew up in like the 90s. So I was born in 83, but I grew up on infomercials. Like, I loved infomercials. Like, Ron Popeil was the man. Like, he had the rotisserie, set it and forget it. Like, there was all these different things, and they were really good at, like, here's the product that you're getting, and they're big, and you're not going to pay $99.99. You're not going to pay $89.99. Now you're going to pay $79.99. If you call today, you're going to get it for 2 easy payments of $24.99. And that's not all. Like, you're going to get this knife set, and you're going to get this. And what happens is, and he talks about it in his book, is it builds the value of some ridiculous amount, and it's just stupid not to buy the product or buy that offer. So anyway, I got to head in. Hope you guys have an awesome day, and talk to you soon.